Yeah, we've had a good week of prep, for University of Louisiana. Very explosive on offense. Obviously, last week had 7 drives of over 70 yards, and Terrence Broadway had over 400 yards, 373 passing. So, do a great job. Mark Hudson is a guy that I've got a lot of respect for. Look forward to playing him here on homecoming in the Swamp. As far as injuries concerned, Mac Brown probably will be out with an ankle. Has not been able to do anything thus far this week. Andre DeBose hyperextended his knee last Thursday and has been unable to get back in action so far. So I definitely, with those two guys, expecting everybody else back. And Leon Orr, who's missed some time with an illness right now, is working his way back in shape. Probably will not play Saturday. So I'll open it up from there.
Coach, first we have Edward Ashoff of ESPN.com.
Coach, you've played Texas A&M and did a pretty good job of containing that offense in the second half. What were some of the keys for your defense to kind of adjust to what they did?
Well, I think with Johnny Manziel, his rush lanes, the guy's got he just extends plays. I mean, a lot of off-rhythm plays. They're going to make you defend the entire field, 53 1/3 yards wide and 120 deep. With his athleticism, he creates a lot of issues. You got to control his rush lanes up front. I'm sure he's progressed as a thrower. There weren't a lot of vertical throws against us, so we kind of loaded some things down in the lower area to be able to deny the ball. But they got an experienced offensive line. The center, I think, is a 4-year starter, and both tackles have started for 3 years now. They've got some good speed kids as far as creating space plays. You've got to tackle well in space when you play teams like this. Generally, for the most part, the ball's out very quickly in the passing game. So as far as generating pressure, you need to be able to rush 4 guys because you can't continue to pressure 5 and 6 guys. You just got to stay multiple what you're doing defensively. But rush lanes are critical in tackling well in space. I mean, it's a space game when you play teams like that, and if you can't tackle in space, you're going to struggle.
And how important is defensive conditioning when playing an up-tempo offense like this?
Well, just, to me, it's more mental conditioning of just getting lined up where you're supposed to, get your eyes in the right spots, and get aligned. That's what the tempo does. They do it for reasons of, number 1, fatigue, number 2, to vanilla you up. I mean, they want to make you very simple defensively so they know what they're going to get, and that's why they do that. Now, you can't let them do that. You got to be able to call what you call.
Next is Glenn Gilbo, Gwinnett, Louisiana.
Hello, Coach.
Glenn, how you doing?
Good. Good. I wanted to ask you about the Devery Henderson catch against Kentucky back in 2002.
Thank goodness.
Were you on the sideline or the press box, and just what do you remember about that play?
Well, we stunk on defense that day. We couldn't tackle Lorenzen. Our offensive coordinator, Brent Peace, is sitting down the hall, but I bring up the game a lot because we end up winning. But honestly, Glenn, I was walking off of the field, and I got to the bottom of the numbers before I realized we had scored. I had no idea until our players started running on the field. Like a lot of Kentucky fans, they didn't realize we had scored either. But it was as unusual games I've ever been a part of. We were awful on defense, and we just felt like we cost ourselves the game. But I walked from the sidelines to the bottom of the numbers before I realized we had scored.
I mean, you thought it was over, or you?
Oh yeah, ball went up, and you hardly ever see those plays hit, and I just was kind of walking, thinking about different things we could have done game plan wise and call wise, and didn't call a very good game. And I got to the bottom of the numbers, and I realized all these players are running by me, and I'm thinking, what in the world could our players be happy about right now? And I realized that Devery had made the catch.
Thanks.
Next is Russ Mitchell of College Football News.
Hey, Coach.
Hey.
Hey, in the last couple of games, you all seem to be passing a little bit more, about 41% of your offensive plays. Is that an intentional strategy or just how the game's played out?
No, I think a little bit how the game's played out. We realized we need to do a little bit more, vertically throwing the football. It's been a little bit of a conscious effort, but more than anything, what the defense has given us, people are loading the box. We've got to create some opportunities for us down the field.
All right, thanks.
Next is Jason Leisure, the Palm Beach Post.
So after the first game, when you sat down with the quarterbacks and you told Jacoby that he wasn't going to be starting, how did that meeting go?
Well, good. I mean, Jacoby's a competitor, and a guy that's handled this as good as anybody could handle it. But very well.
What did you tell him?
Excuse me?
What did you tell Jacoby when you sat there in the meeting? I mean, what was your message to him going forward?
That I thought he'd done a great job preparing and working, and we decided to go with Jeff. And that meeting's between Jacoby and I, and it was very professional.
Thank you.
Next is Dave Matter, the Columbia Tribune.
Will, what was your impression of Missouri's defense and the way it played on Saturday? Did it look the part of an SEC defense?
Yes, very much so. We said going into the game, Richardson's as good as inside player, and he was active versus everybody he played against. Very disruptive in what he does. They're solid up front. The linebackers are well coached and run downhill and play, and they covered well in the game. They're very, very much like their defensive coordinator Dave Steckel. Guy I've got a lot of respect for, old Marine, and they played the way his personality is, tough, and that's what they were. And it was absolutely nothing different than what I expected. Having knowing him and knowing what kind of operation they run there with Gary.